Next on Newsmax Prime, I'm John Bachman filling in for JD, who's on assignment. He's sitting down for a one-on-one interview with presidential contender Donald Trump. We'll bring you Trump's thoughts on today's Obamacare Supreme Court ruling, plus reaction to a broadcaster that's cut ties with him. Then, approaching the deadline, the Iranian nuclear deal is in the spotlight, with many advisors now saying it's not a good deal. Senator Ron Johnson and our political panel will join us to discuss the latest. Plus, we'll tell you about a great event that benefits our troops deployed around the world and how you can help. Newsmax Prime for Thursday, June 25th starts now. Good evening and welcome to Newsmax Prime. I'm John Bachman. J.D. Hayworth is in New York for that exclusive one-on-one interview with 2016 Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. We'll join him in just a moment. But first, the Supreme Court votes 6-3 to uphold the tax subsidies that are essential for implementing Obamacare. Earlier today, handing out what is being hailed as another major victory to President Obama and his signature health care law. It is the second time in 3 years that the High Court has ruled against a major challenge to the Affordable Care Act. As expected, the president took what some would call a victory lap a short time after that ruling came down.
It has changed and in some cases saved American lives. It set this country on a smarter, stronger course. And today, after more than 50 votes in Congress to repeal or weaken this law, after a presidential election based in part on preserving or repealing this law, after multiple challenges to this law before the Supreme Court, the Affordable Care Act is here to stay.
Well, for more on this story, we are joined now by Newsmax Prime host J.D. Hayworth, who is joining us from New York. Great to see you, J.D.
Thanks very much, John. And obviously, this Supreme Court decision was one of the major topics I discussed with Donald Trump earlier today. Now, Donald is upset with this ruling on a couple of different counts. Number one, the public policy. He simply thinks Obamacare is a bad deal. But number two, he made it clear his disdain for Chief Justice John Roberts and for one of his competitors for the Republican nomination, who he says was a big backer of Roberts and Roberts' nomination for Chief Justice.
Well, it's shocking because on the papers, there's no way that we were supposed to lose that case. The country lost it. The people of this country lost it. And if you think about it, Justice Roberts is the one that killed this, because this previous decision, which was even a more powerful decision in terms of killing Obamacare, he voted shockingly in favor of keeping it. He was appointed by President Bush. Justice Roberts was wanted very badly by Jeb Bush. He was pushing him very hard. Justice Roberts is why we have this horrible thing called Obamacare. So we have to repeal it, we have to replace it. If I get in, I will repeal it and I will replace it with something great. But think about it. Bush appointed Justice Roberts, okay? Justice Roberts is a disaster. Now, in my opinion, he only did it because he wants to be loved on the Beltway. That's why Justice Roberts did this. So he was an appointee by President Bush, pushed very hard by Jeb Bush, and people should remember this when they're thinking about voting for Jeb Bush.
So it's very obvious that the recent polling that has Donald Trump just a little behind Jeb Bush, both in New Hampshire and nationally, is something weighing on the Donald's mind, and he's making it clear that he's got his opponent in his sights, metaphorically speaking, as this campaign begins to really get going. John?
And he knows exactly what he's doing here, too, J.D., bringing up the name, the Bush name, the Bush name, the Bush name, tying Jeb Bush to his brother, George Bush. Very smart play. Donald always knows how to do that in that particular way. Also, big news today involving Donald Trump. The entertainment division of Spanish broadcaster Univision announced today that they are ending their relationship with the Miss Universe organization, which, of course, is partly owned by Mr. Trump, after he made what some are calling insulting remarks about Mexican immigrants. Did you talk to him about that?
Oh, absolutely, because that decision and that announcement had just come forward literally within minutes of sitting down to speak with Donald Trump. And Donald made it very clear. He doubled down on the question of problems on the border, and he made it very clear that a business deal is a business deal, especially in terms of Univision's contractual obligations. And the bottom line is Donald Trump will be in court, and he expects to earn millions of dollars in restitution for this business deal that he believes was taken in retaliation for what he had to say about getting tough with Mexico on our border.
Well, this is typical politics. First of all, it's owned by Hillary fans. You know, these are people that are big supporters of Hillary and Obama. And I think maybe even more importantly, they have had tremendous pressure put on them because, you know, we have a signed contract. It's signed. It's a 5-year deal. It's a lot of money for the Miss Universe, Miss USA. And they wanted me to be silent about all of the bad trade deals that the United States has made. We are making horrible deals. And as you know, I've been running for president talking about the horrible trade deals, including with Mexico, whether it's the Ford plant for $2.5 billion that's not coming here, it's going to Mexico, the plant that was taken out of Tennessee that everybody thought was going into Tennessee and it ends up going to Mexico. And it's killing our country. Plus, I talk about the border. I love Mexico and I love the people of Mexico. And I make that clear. I have many friends from Mexico and they're terrific people. But my loyalty is to the United States. And I'm running for the president of the United States. And as you know, I'm doing pretty well. And one of the reasons is because I'm exposing the weaknesses and I would almost say corruption because it's hard to believe it can be anything else, but certainly incompetence. And if you look at how Mexico is ripping us off in trade, ripping us off at the border, I expose it. And because of that, Univision sent us a notice, and they can't even do it. I mean, I have a fantastic lawsuit. I'll sue them for a lot of money, and that's fine. But they wanted me to be silent, and I can't be silent. Now, here's the difference. A politician in my position, they would immediately fold and be silent. And Mexico would go along and continue to rip off the United States with all these horrible trade deals that are happening. We need jobs in the United States. We need money coming into, you know, we owe soon $19 trillion. We need money coming into the United States. We need manufacturing here. We don't need plants being built in Mexico. So by my taking a very strong stand, and especially now that I'm running for president, they said, we can't have this, because I think they have about 70% of their company is based in Mexico. A big percentage of their country has to do with Mexico. And I'm not going to be silenced.
But did it surprise you to see a form of business retaliation come because of your political stance?
A little bit, not that much, because I know how the game is played. You know, I give up a lot. When I run for president, there's a case, millions and millions of dollars. They said, we're not going to pay you anymore unless you're silent. We're not going to pay you anymore. I give up a lot. When other people run for it, they don't give up. They're politicians. They're all talk, they're no action. They would never do what I'm doing. They would say, oh, I will be silent. I will do whatever you have to do because I don't want to be hurt economically. But I give up a lot. Here's an example. I have to go to war with Univision now because of this. A politician, they run for office, they win, they lose, it doesn't matter. That's all they do is they run and they talk. They're all talk and no action. I'm action. So I love this country. We have to bring our country back. We have to make America great again. I mean, it's my theme. We have to make America great again. So Univision will pay a very big price by the time I'm finished with them.
Now, not only Univision, but again, you heard Donald Trump taking the measure of his Republican rivals, putting most of them in the category of politician. And Donald is making clear, by his reckoning, he's not a politician. He's a businessman who gets things done. Obviously, a wide-ranging conversation we had with the Donald today, and you'll be able to see the interview in its entirety Monday evening, a special edition of Newsmax Prime at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific. That is Monday night. The entire interview with Donald Trump for you here on Newsmax TV. John?
Always candid, JD, always entertaining. We'll very much look forward to seeing that interview. Good job.
You bet. Look forward to getting back. For now, goodbye from Newsmax, New York.
All right. Travel safe, JD. Still to come on Newsmax Prime, several American security advisors are raising some important questions about that pending nuclear deal with Iran. Senator Ron Johnson will discuss. And later, Melanie Morgan with details of an 8-hour fundraiser designed to benefit deployed troops and how you can help. But first, Michael Reagan and Bill McCollum will continue the discussion on today's Supreme Court decision that ultimately leaves Obamacare unchanged. All that when Newsmax Prime continues.